Shatter the Vain, a podcast about vainglory.
Hey, and welcome to episode 76 of Shatter the Vain. My name is Brad Chmielewski, and this is a podcast all about vainglory. We're back with another update video or update episode where we run down these patch notes, and I love to get people that have been playing this game a long time and very familiar with many of these abilities and just knowledgeable about the game. And so I brought Gibbs back to join me. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
For people that haven't seen your videos or even your Mobcrush, you want to give a quick introduction before we dive into this giant patch rundown here?
Yes, so I'm Gibbs. Former streamer on Twitch. I stream on Mobcrush now at mobcrush.com/Gibbs. And I do YouTube as well, where I do solo queue series and montages at youtube.com/streamgibbs.
Nice. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot more YouTube montages. Those are great. Nice job with those.
A lot of work.
Yeah. Much easier just putting up gameplay videos, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. Let's jump into this crazy Lunar New Year update 1.14.
Vainglory News.
So this is got to be maybe the biggest patch or biggest update, I think, that I've seen since been playing.
Yes, I'd have to agree with you on that.
We just came off of 1.13, which had the skill tier reset. It had the winter map. It had Kestrel, and it's like, wow, like that was kind of nuts. Like that was massive alone.
It was. So with a new season coming, and now we have 1.14, which is huge.
So this is, I think we were talking a little bit. This is kind of their first official. Almost holiday in-game celebration.
Right.
I know other games like League of Legends, they do the harrowing, and Blizzard has their own thing. I forget what they call it, but they have their own Halloween celebration. But then this Lunar New Year is something I know many games do, and I think Super Evil went all out this time, even beyond just like, here's a cool skin.
Right, I agree. This is with the biggest patch, this is one of the biggest events. Like, I'm hyped for it. I mean, it goes on for February 2nd through the 13th. And there's hero sales, which is the first time we're seeing heroes actually go on sale.
Yeah. And
they're going to swap the map up again with the New Year Lunar map, which I've seen. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but there's fire. It's awesome.
I think that's my favorite map. Like when the Halloween one dropped, it was like, oh my god, map skin. But this map,
right.
Like the coloring and just all the lights, like I think it's my favorite. It's just like it feels welcoming.
It does. It's sort of like the original map with that sort of tone of New Year celebration to it.
Yeah. And then we also have these, I guess, along with the sales, we have this like red card or red envelope thing. Like I wasn't even that familiar with red envelopes. Like I'm not Chinese, so I don't get red envelopes for New Year's or anything.
Well, I'm half Asian, so I know a little bit about envelopes. And it's something about, there's a red envelope. It symbolizes, I'm not too sure, but it symbolizes something.
Okay.
And you open it up, and I believe there's money in it.
Okay.
But instead of money, we're getting glory every day.
Mm-hmm. And this, it stacks up so it kicks off, I think the date is getting changed, or it starts on February 6th now, and then goes through the 13th. But every day you log in for, I think, total of 7 days. If you log in every day, you get glory starting at 100 and ending at 2,000. So by the end, you can almost have 5,000 glory.
Right.
And you just have to log in. You don't even have to play a game. Like no other games really just give you free money and free currency. Like Vainglory,
even during their events.
Yeah.
You have to work for it.
Yeah, you have to play the game and then you get the glory. But this is just like, hey, thanks for opening our app.
Yes, and they also have the free Koshka or Ringo. So I believe the way it works is if you're on iOS and you log in with Koshka, or you log into the game, you get a free Koshka. If you're on Android, you get a free Ringo.
Right.
So if you want both of them, you can swap them around.
Yeah, or use a friend's device, maybe.
Use a friend's device. Head over to school.
Yeah. And yeah, I know a lot of people like, I'm just going to log in at lunch if I can't end up playing and get the red cards and see who's on sale. Because we don't even have like a hero sale yet. We just know like there will
Right.
be sales.
We did see Scarf, Jewel, and I believe Arden in the picture on the patch notes.
Okay.
So I'm sort of assuming that might be the first hero sale.
Mm-hmm.
Not positive. They didn't have a list, so sure they'll surprise us with it.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense that they're trying to do these sales because you now need 12 heroes to play ranked.
Right.
So I think they just want to get everyone, I guess, up to speed and into that without feeling like, oh, it's a pay-to-win kind of system.
Right.
So this will be great. I'm sure they'll be tweeting and updating their blog all the time and in-game of all the sales and everything that's happening. Well, should we kick it off here with Ozo?
With Ozo, sounds good.
So it's the year of the monkey. So we got a new monkey character. I saw Sugar Venom tweet inspiration clip that Chainsaw was using about this Chinese dancer with a ring. Like, I didn't even know this was a thing.
Right.
And watching this video, I think it was today or yesterday, I was like, wow, that's like, I totally get the combination or the inspiration from it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with especially Chinese in the ring in the year of the monkey. Mm-hmm. It's kind of brilliant on the back end when you think about it.
Yeah. They got lucked out it wasn't the year of the rat or something. It just wouldn't have been as good.
Year of the goat.
Right.
In back corpus.
Oh, maybe. So Ozo, yeah, he's a monkey. He's got this ring he moves around with. We went over his abilities and skills a little bit in the last episode, but we'll quickly run through them again here now that I've seen a little more and learned a little more about him. His heroic perk is called Carney Luck. So Ozu receives additional healing, barrier, and fortified health from all sources. So this just means if he's chugging a potion, he's getting more health. If Adagio's healing him, he's getting more health back. Even with Finn's new ability to add fortified health, like he'll get that. Right. And that just seems like he can survive and almost becomes like a little, I wouldn't say tankier, but just more survivability. Because
it does.
His whole kit is all about like getting to the back line and like disrupting these fights.
Exactly.
And then his A ability is called 3-Ring Circus. Ozo performs a 3-hit combo with his ring. Each part of the combo is a separate tap within 5-second window. So I think you have time to use your 3-Ring Circus, auto attack, use it again, and keep doing that kind of combo there.
Right.
And then each hit does something different, I believe. Ozo's first one, he thrusts the ring through them. The second hit, Ozu dashes through the target and deals damage. And then the final hit, he spins and does like an AoE damage to them.
Yes.
I've
played it.
Oh, go ahead.
I've played it in beta, and playing it in beta, it's a little tricky to get used to. But once you get used to it, then you'll just be like flying through it.
Yeah, this seems like it's really good for clearing the lane too. Like if you just you need to go up there and push it in. Maybe
it'll get nerfed, or
okay,
maybe they'll nerf the wave clear if it isn't already adjusted.
Right, because the patch notes don't have actual numbers to lane minions or monsters.
Right, but I'm sure it's not going to clear lane minions in 1 or 2 hits.
Right, that'd be dangerous. And then I think his B ability is maybe the most fun ability that I've seen.
Yes,
the acro bounce. So Ozu hops onto the heads of nearby targets. So this can be enemies, allies, or jungle monsters or lane minions. And then each hit, he can do this 3 times. And each hit does increased damage, with the final one doing like a maximum, burst damage. And I've seen people use this, I guess, on this dev stream and other things. Like you can use this to catch up to people. You can use this as like a way to escape too if you're getting chased in the jungle. Jump on one of those jungle camps and maybe jump over the wall or just get ahead of everybody.
Yes, I'd like to use it just to show off, just to bounce on people's heads.
I think it's gonna have to get used to the timing. I'm sure everyone will fail this at first.
Yes, his kit's actually pretty. It sounds pretty complicated. Once you sort of get one combination down, then you can start expanding to different combinations with it once you get used to it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to play with him. And then his final ability is called Bangarang. It's a pretty great name for that.
It is. It is.
Is that what I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Hook. Is that what they yell when they're in the?
It might be.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
All right. I feel like they do yell that. So Ozo charges up before tumbling to a targeted enemy hero. So you have to have a hero here. Like, this does nothing. Like, you can't even select it if you don't have a target in range for it. And he rolls on his ring, and then when he hits the target, he deals damage, stuns them, and flips them. Holy like, that's 3 things that I feel like Super Evil loves to put, like, hey, all of this stuff is just in one ability.
Yes, and the animation for it too, when he hops on the ball, he's just going. It's like a ball coming at you. He totally transforms.
Yeah. I think his whole animations, like, almost look the most detailed out of anybody.
I would agree with that.
And just the way he's spinning, he has so much going on because he does have a weapon that he's messing around with. I guess Glaive has his axe, but it doesn't have as much, I guess, motion to it. It's just this heavy weight that he's slamming down.
Right. Get those crits though.
Right, that's true. So then on the beta, you played with him a little bit. Were you going weapon? Were you going crystal? What do you think is going to be kind of this go-to path for people?
I tried both of them, and his 3-ring circus, it triggers basic attack effects. So it's sort of like your basic attacks, like tension bow, your aftershock, and so hitting that is just sort of whichever one. I think both would work really well, but I'm sure we're going to see one leans more towards the other, and I would have to say possibly crystal coming out of this.
Oh, okay. It seemed like I noticed a lot of people, and this was the breaking point changes are really we'll get into those a little bit, but breaking point on him seems like it could be pretty good if you go weapon damage, because he is in the fight doing the damage.
Right. I mean, weapon power seems normal with it, since he is the melee hero that's going to, jump in there and do all these abilities. So we'll have to see how it works out. I like to see some crystal because I think it might take a little bit more getting used to on it.
Okay. Do you see him like falling into the meta as quickly as Kestrel did?
Oh, Kestrel fell into the meta very quick. I want to say, and as far as the meta, we won't see him, spammed like Kestrel was, because I still think Rhyme needs his time to shine, Rhyme needs his time to shine.
That's true, yeah.
But I do think he will fall in there in a few weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure he is a pretty decent counter to Rhyme, just because people that can jump around so much, like Skies and Takas and Koshkas against Rhyme, he can't keep up.
He has that one route.
Yeah. If you miss that,
make sure to hit that.
So Ozo will be available for that early 7-day ice-only purchase, and then he'll be for glory for everyone else. So I'm sure you'll see a lot of people streaming, playing them, seeing if they can make them work. Mm-hmm. And then, let's jump into the other heroes, because I feel like that's going to kind of affect where Ozo is and our meta changes here. Because we were talking about Kestrel, so let's start with Kestrel here. Kestrel, I felt like, I'm feeling like she's been falling off. I feel like people are starting to be like, all right, we get what to just avoid her. Just stay away, and we'll stun her, and we'll just stay back. So I feel like as a community, we were starting to just be like, yeah, whatever, she's real strong. I'm just not going to let her, I'm not stay away. But she did get some nerfs in this patch. So her splash damage from her Glimmer Shot, that was brought down a little bit. A lot of her stuff wasn't like crazy reduced, but I think it was just enough to like bring her back a little bit, just so people wouldn't get as upset with her.
Yes, it was more of her early game was really, really tough to deal with. And an aggressive Kestrel could just shut you down in the jungle. She could push you back in the lane and rotate very easy. Right. So a lot of these changes, I would say, is more focused on that early game, making sure she can't, run in there and two-shot you.
Yeah. I think the biggest one to the two, like the numbers and the ratio are nice, but like her having to reload her arrows up from 3 seconds to 4 seconds,
Hmm.
I think that's going to make a big difference. Like I know I would run out of
Right.
arrows playing her. I'd be like, oh, I gotta wait a sec. Okay.
Yes, I think it's a very good adjustment to it. It's not too long, but it did need to be changed a little bit because she could just spam arrows back and forth.
Hmm. And then that hitbox, I know I constantly complain about hitboxes because they're like, that
Yes,
shouldn't have hit me. And
right.
it is, I think, always a deceiving thing in MOBAs because of the angle everything's at. You feel like
Hmm.
that shouldn't have hit me, but if you looked at it straight on, then it would have hit you. So, but
Right.
I think being the hitbox of Glimmer Shot being reduced will help just survive in lane, or if you start to run into her in the jungle and just being able to get away.
And with Kestrel, she's in VGL. We saw a lot of comps against Kestrel
Yeah.
when they would pick her. As far as we saw, Cruel in the EU. Sky was a popular pick. It was pretty much just rush her and kill her before she kills you
Right.
because she does have an escape, but she doesn't. Her B ability, the active camo, if you hit her, she can't use it. So people were just trying to get in there and get that first hit before she could get it off and just stay on top of her.
Hmm.
So that is one way to kind of counter her, but you have to make sure that you do get rid of her.
Right, because if she gets like those 2 early kills or 3 early kills, then she's just kind of just tough to deal with. Just like maybe a Koshka or Taka getting some early kills, and you're kind of like, ah, crap.
We have to deal with this all game.
Hmm. Do you still think she's gonna be picked as much, or are we all kind of okay? Like she's gonna fall back and just kind of be like a skilled player,
Hmm.
gonna shine with her more now.
I would say we're going to see her scale back some because we did see her scale back a lot in VGL as far as competitive scene. And I think that will sort of trickle down into, the ranked queues. I think she's still going to be a very strong pick,
Yeah.
when you do need that, because she can go weapon or crystal. Like, that's amazing with her. And she is ranged. She does have that burst damage that you need. She has a global ultimate, so she's a really strong pick. But I don't think we'll see her, insta-locked as often in ranked queues.
Hmm. Especially since our meta is starting to shift to that late game. Like I think her falling off so much there at the late games is kind of like, ugh, it's starting to hurt people.
Right. And I want to sort of quote insta-lock because I'm sure we'll get to that later.
Right, yeah. Won't be as many insta-locks. But now you maybe won't feel as dirty playing Kestrel too, if you pick her.
Hmm.
So then at the top of the list here, I think my biggest sadness here are these Arden changes. Like,
Oh, yes.
so Arden got quite a big nerf here. So his Vanguard it got reduced from nine. Like, is it what do they use? 9 meters or points? I forget the actual
Meters.
to seven
Yeah.
meters. Like that's pretty big. If I think Broken Myth did or posted a video or a clip where we saw that range. It was almost if you
Hmm.
stood in the middle of the jungle, you could jump to both bushes, but now you can't jump to
Right.
either bush. And also the barrier you get from the health, it got reduced in the last patch from 50 to 25, which
Hmm.
I noticed a little bit, but now it's down to 15.
Yes.
Oh, this is hard for Arden. Like I feel like he gets to the top sometimes, and then he just like Catherine comes in there and like, nope, I'm still the best.
Right. So Arden is down to 15%. These changes are actually very crucial because he could, Vanguard from way across the wall,
Yeah,
just clutch save a teammate. So now Arden players are gonna have to actually be a little closer to their teammates. And the barrier is down. Don't really know what to say about that. I mean, it came down.
right.
It's a nerf, but we'll see how much of a nerf it actually is because it may not be that much. People may have just got spoiled with Vanguards. I know I
Sure.
did.
Yeah, 50%. Like that seems crazy now.
Yes.
But do you why do you think Arden got hit so high? I feel like it was either Catherine or Arden. Those were our supports. Really, are the wrong
Arden,
characters.
right. Arden's top pick. He's number one pick, I would say. in some people's minds, Catherine's right there next to him. But Arden's always been dominant. He's been that number one go-to support. He has the Gauntlet CC, which is amazing. He has his B ability, I mean, blood for blood.
Right.
And then his Vanguard is a shield. I mean, he has a little bit of everything: damage, utility, support. Like, his kit's really strong. And just coming down that barrier sort of balances his kit out. And I'm sure we don't want to see Arden in every single VGL match. We don't want to see him banned picks.
Right.
And so when he's coming down like that, we will probably still see him. Like, we will still see him, but probably not priority. It'll open up more for new comps to come in using Finn, Adagio, Fortress, and Catherine will get her throne back, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think she will definitely be up there again. The other change on Arden, which I feel like is just a quality of life change to a lot of people, is the Gauntlet's now going to let you know that it's happening. Kind of like Adagio's ultimate, you can kind of see it's happening. Even a couple of the Kestrel's ultimate, you can see it's happening. You can walk out of it. You're now going to have an indicator that the Gauntlet is coming down. And I think this is going to hurt Lost Boy Tough the most from getting those like clutch gauntlets underneath the turret.
Right. Lost Boy's still great.
Right. I think this is just kind of an okay change and just helps people understand what's happening with the gauntlet. So I don't really see this as a nerf or a buff. It's just kind of like, okay.
I sort of see it as a very slight buff because it instantly stuns them.
Okay.
When it lands, if he can land it on top of a hero, it's going to instantly stun them before it just pushed them in or out.
Oh, okay.
And now when it lands on them, it's going to instantly stun them.
Oh, I missed that part. Okay. No, that could definitely help. If you can land that edge stun, maybe it does help the like really good Arden players, I guess, calculate where that area is now. So maybe it's maybe it helps the player more than it helps the enemy team.
I don't know. It's quality of life because getting pushed in or out, is kind of difficult to see which way you're going to get pushed a lot of times.
Okay.
But now there's no deciding. You're going to get stunned.
Okay. Nice. That's Arden. And then Blackfeather next on the list of who had been top picks here since his release in, 112. And
yes,
we're finally seeing, basically he got buffed in the last patch because it was really just a bug fix. And so now he's getting hit a little bit here. So his weapon scaling is down at all levels to 100%. So it started at like 120 and went up to 160. So like at the top level, it's close to 0.5% less weapon damage. And then his execute damage, which is his A ability where he just like lunges at someone, that's been brought down a little bit. And I believe it still does true damage, but that's definitely down a little bit too. This just seems like it doesn't hurt him too much, but it just makes him a little easier to deal with. Because I know a Blackfeather that would get ahead, he was rough to deal with.
Yeah, his A ability, it used to do true damage, but now it's going to do missing health as not true damage, but weapon damage.
Oh, okay.
So true damage, it ignored everything. It didn't matter. It was just straight true damage. And with the weapon damage, so the armor is going to play a factor into there.
Okay.
So he got tuned down. He needed it a little bit.
So with this, with the true damage gone, I think I misread that, but it's gone now. So now we don't have anyone with true damage, right? Like he was our first hero that did true damage, right? This was I'm
trying to think. Cruel does massive amounts of damage.
Right. I don't know if it's true damage though, because true damage is you don't want to put too much of it into the game because there's no way to counter it.
Right.
You usually see it on maybe one hero or one ability. So I think this maybe having it back at the weapon damage just helps people understand it a little more. I think Blackfeather will still be played. I think he's still incredibly strong and will snowball well, just won't be a little easier to deal with.
Yeah. I've been playing a lot of Blackfeather lately.
Okay.
And I would say he's one of the strongest picks in lane.
Okay.
The only issue that I really had was with mages like Scarf and Celeste, the long range pokes. With Vox, Ringo's, it was a cakewalk if you could hit your B ability.
Yeah.
But now, without all that damage, um, we'll see how it does. We'll see how it does.
He may go back into the jungle where he maybe was supposed to be, and maybe we'll see some of that crystal damage or the crystal builds come out now that the weapons got nerfed a little bit too.
Yes, and his B ability doesn't do as much damage to the lane minions anymore. So
Right.
even Crystal is still going to be tough to clear that lane. So we might see him back in the jungle.
Nice. Um, then the other hero that got a little bit of change was Scarf. His clear to the minions are down. But thank God, because you couldn't leave Scarf. I know I was playing a couple games of Saw recently against the Scarf, which is the worst matchup possible. But Saw clears the lane really quick, but Scarf clears them even faster than Saw does.
Yes.
So,
It was a Spitfire goop. I'm gone.
they're gone, yeah. And especially to turrets, but that damage had been that's up a little bit from 60% to 85 damage. So I think this will help Scarf just not be able to push the lane quickly and rotate down and get into those jungle fights. They'll have to make that call a little more now and kind of get in line with the other heroes.
Yeah, everybody's sort of getting that wave. I don't want to call it a nerf because I sort of see which direction they're going for in this by hitting all the heroes. But I mean, you can expect everybody's wave clear to get down a little bit.
Right. And then Sky, the changes to Sky. Sky has been strong for a little while. If you can master her, like she's incredibly good because that just not knowing where she's gonna go to if you don't have a Catherine or an insta stun, it's hard to deal with someone that just jumps around constantly. But so her crystals, I guess, got hit a little bit, but her weapon got increased a little bit.
Yes.
So the blue Sky has been incredibly strong, especially here in NA. I know some of the EU folks definitely like the red Sky a little bit more. But now Crystal Sky has been down basically on her Surrey Strike. The ratio is down from 150 to 100, and the cooldown is up just a little bit, a 0.5, so not that much.
It's very understandable with the crystal ratio and the cooldown on Series Strike.
Do you play a lot of Sky? I don't play a lot of Sky because I'm not good with her. But
I do play a lot of Sky,
okay.
and her Series Strike was doing massive amounts of damage if you hit it. I mean, it still took skill, but everybody was getting to where they could land a Series Strike pretty much. But this forward barrage, I think we might be seeing a lot of red Sky with this.
Yeah, because forward barrage and death from above, the damage is down from 70 to 60, but I think the weapon or the crit. Oh, sorry, that was just the crystal damage, but the forward barrage crit chances are up. That's the big change, especially with the breaking point changes, which I've teased and we'll get to. But like crit Sky, I think that might be where it's at. Like the crit Ringo builds are a lot of fun.
Yes.
So I think transferring that over to Sky now.
With the forward barrage, like double machine guns, like just crit, 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 crit.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to deal with. Excited to see where Sky ends up, and all the players that are definitely good with her as they tweak her a little bit and find new builds. And then Petal, she got a little bit of change, but I don't think it matters at all. Like it's just a tiny tweak. Her armor and shield are up on her minions. I don't think this is going to help Petal at all. I can't see her coming back into the game at the moment.
Not quite yet. It is a step in the right direction. This is a huge patch, and Petal's very difficult to balance. So they sort of said, this is the direction we're going in with the armor and shield on her minions up. It's sort of like a tease, I would say. This is the direction we're going. Just wait for it.
Yeah. Any thoughts on like what is it? Her minions that are going to be the thing that they keep tweaking to try to make those the thing that is Petal. Like she has pets. Like that's her thing. They need to be as strong, or they need to be stronger so they survive in these fights, and people can underestimate the damage that they're doing.
It's very difficult because Petal, we've seen her in all positions, roam, jungle carry, lane over time, and it's sort of whichever direction SCMC wants to go, they'll go that way, and then the player base will say, we're going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Whether it is a great roam they made or a great jungle carry or great laner, we'll see.
hmm
But I do, with the Armor and Shield coming up, and it's up from 100 to 120 to 145, and they added a crystal ratio to it.
So that's
So
nice, yeah.
looking towards mage,
hmm And I believe they said, it's not in the notes, but I think they said on the pack stream that they took her out of the recommended support build. When you get into a game, it would recommend contract for her. And I think they were trying to make her a support, and it just wasn't working out.
Petal's still her Munion's really she's not complete potato.
Okay.
Not right now. She make it. She doesn't get a lot of love, but if you actually sit down and really try to play her, she's not that far off.
It is fun to jump and use your bounce and everything. So
I just hop over walls after I've died a lot with Petal.
yeah,
That might
basically
seem
show
very
off. Yeah.
Jump over walls back and forth with clockwork.
Nice. Next up was Adagio. His damage was increased a little bit on his Burst of Judgment, which is an ultimate, right?
Yes.
Okay. Adagio, he comes in and out, and I think he's usually in a pretty solid place. Like, he's not like top, he's not bad. It's kind of like when you see Adagio picked, you're kind of like, all right, I'm gonna get some good heals. That guy's got a crazy range. He's gonna hurt people. His ultimate was kind of worthless because everyone knew how to reflex block it. So now maybe with the damage being up, because reflex blocks that like initial damage, like maybe it'll now work its way through that.
I agree with it. Adagio right now, I would say is probably best. There's one comp that I know of. They call it the boost comp, where they take Ringo in the lane, and they'll just put, or they could take Adagio in the lane, and they'll just put Ringo, Adagio, and Arden, and they just boost Ringo, heal Ringo, Vanguard Ringo.
Yeah.
And Adagio is great at boosting. He actually does a lot of damage with his B ability. If you haven't noticed it before, he does incredible amounts of damage if you've ever lain against him.
Yeah, I've seen that boost comp with a Vox too, because he get those quick, double auto attacks off, and like someone's instantly at like less than half health. Like, what?
Right, and I think Adagio, he's one of the only range supports right now, and he's also very stable in the lane as well.
You mentioned the boost comp, but the Agent of Wrath, that boost got reduced a little bit at early game, and it might have been a reflect of people starting to play around with that. It wasn't incredibly popular because you did have to have a team, so maybe that was a little nod to like, hey, we're keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, I can see that.
But on the Gift of Fire, I noticed that the fire damage ratio is up a little bit, like 18 to 20%. Like, that fire hurt a lot, and I think being up, and if you're building Crystal Adagio or just a little bit of Crystal,
Yes,
it ticks away at you, and you can underestimate the burn.
absolutely.
So
Sort of hinting at lane Adagio.
yeah. I wouldn't mind to see him back in the meta. He is fun to play, and and that range. Oh my gosh, like that range.
Oh
hurts.
yes, I mean, just like Petal, we've seen Adagio. Remember, maybe almost a year ago, when we had weapon power Adagio in lane. Then he sort of, I believe, nobody really heard of him again. Then he emerged as this great support with the boost. And now he's sort of just that strategy pick for your team comp. So it's sort of looking like they want to bring him a little more in, especially with Arden's Vanguard getting that nerf, bringing him in a little bit more.
Yeah.
That fire damage ratio. It'd be interesting to see possibly different builds.
Different builds on the Adagio. Yeah. Excited to see what people come up with there.
More crystal.
Crystal. Next up was Rona, who I think is the least picked hero in the VGL that just ended here. I think I was looking at Fame Glory's stats here. She was picked was it one time, I think? Maybe three times at the most, but one to three times. I forget what the number was, but she was at the bottom because I believe there was a bug with her that was kind of not allowing her to do as much damage, but she just also wasn't doing any damage at all.
Right. I love Rona. And you don't see the damage because she has that reduced damage with increased attack speed.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, if you don't pay attention to her, she will sneak up on you.
Okay. Yeah, because she can stick to you like so well too. Like you with her into the fray where it jumps in you and kind of slows you down, and then if she's got a shiver steal or just something else, then it's kind of like, get off of me.
She's got the gap closer too with her foe splitter.
Mm-hmm. So that into the fray, the damage was up a little bit. And then the rupture damage from that, like hitting the ground, that's up quite a bit. If you overdrive that,
yes,
it's at 300 now. That seems like a lot of damage.
And I believe it may be a little crystal ratio in it.
Okay.
And Crystal Rona right now actually really hurts.
Oh, really? Okay.
If you tried it or not, but if you go Crystal Rona, it's not as strong early game, but come into the mid to late game, we can dish out a lot of damage.
Do you think these changes help that Crystal Rona even better, or do you think it just helps bring a weapon Rona back to where she needs to be?
It's sort of a balance, but sort of saying like, hey, we're keeping an eye on Rona.
Okay.
Because she was the least picked hero, but I love Rona.
Okay.
And the rupture was kind of like why max it?
Right.
You had damage reduction, but now with the rupture damage on top of the rupture damage with her red mist, it can get pretty nasty with a little bit of burst damage there.
Mm-hmm. They did bring the damage to the lane minions down on that red mist because spinning and clearing minions.
Yes,
I think that became an issue too late game. But I don't know. Like it's tough to say. Rona fell out so hard, so she's gonna have to like come back into everyone's minds. So I don't. It's tough to say with all the changes here and all these balances. Who's gonna come out on top when you first look over everything? Last couple of heroes that had like small tweaks were Fortress. His attack the pack wolves were changed so that only take hero damage from basic attacks. So you could just like drop a Celeste Heliogenesis and this wolf packs were gone. So now you have to like auto attack them. So I think that kind of helps what the wolf pack should do. They're like these annoying guys.
It's a slight, I don't want to say a buff, but it helps them out a little bit. So sort of it doesn't help them out much, but it does help them out a good bit, and it might actually in some cases prove to be quite critical because if you do get those bites on you, do get those slows, they can really change the game.
Right, because you get that increased attack speed too with Attack of the Pack, right? So if you have a Rona in there with the wolves biting and she's attacking faster, like I think that could work out pretty well.
Dagio heal, 20%.
All right, there's a good team.
A little bit of burn on it.
All right. And then Finn's Quibble, it got reduced to minions. Sorry, Shin. Sorry, everyone running lane Finn out there. When you could just walk up there and basically one-shot an entire wave. As even a support.
Right.
I was like, all right, later minions, I'll clear these for my dead teammates.
It does hurt. It hurts if you get hit with it in the jungle.
Yeah. People start attack Finn at level 1, and then all of a sudden he quibbles you once, and then he's still alive because he's tanky, and that fight's still going, then it's up again. It's like, what?
Right. The only thing I've figured out how to deal with that is to stand literally on top of him, like underneath him, because he can't quibble right on himself. He has to quibble a little around himself, so if you can stand underneath him, usually you can dodge that quibble damage, which it was a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But it serves him right because he is very slow.
Right, yeah. And it's you can miss that if you're not good at landing it, so it is slow.
It does take some practice.
This kind of stinks to Finn. I like playing Finn a lot, so I think that damage, we'll see. But if you're not building support, or if you're not building crystal damage, you may not notice it as much because you're there to support, back up your team, get those fortified healths and those barriers up for them.
I will point out that in the VGL third place match, I believe it was, it may have been the semifinals, Lost Boy played Finn, and he picked up a heavy prism at one point in the game.
Oh, okay.
He did sell it for, I forgot what he sold it for, but he did pick it up at one point in the game.
Oh, okay. So that mid-game damage at some point if you got room for it. Interesting. I didn't even notice that. Cool. The last hero that got, I guess, a nerf here was Glaive. Just lane Glaive, it's strong at clearing minions, and I think it was becoming annoying for a lot of range carries, a lot of range laners, and it's like, I should be able to poke these minions down faster than this super slow axe-wielding guy.
A bit of Glaive hate over there?
No, I like Glaive. You get mad when he jumps into me on lane, like, I'm fine.
Yes. Those ganks.
Yeah. I think this just goes in line with, I think we talked about the minion clear damage, like reducing that across the board. I think wanting the laners to maybe be in lane. I think that's what we want to see. Like the roam of everyone just roaming through the jungle as like a pack is rough to deal with for a coordinated team going against an uncoordinated team. So I think that's just, I feel like that's what a lot of the minion damage is supposed to do, like keep the laner there.
Right.
Anything you see coming out of these changes about like who maybe falls or who rises? I think it's a lot of changes, especially with that Sky going probably weapon now versus Crystal, and Catherine not getting any nerfs when she's incredibly strong all the time.
Right. Out of these hero changes, I believe Glaive lane will pretty much not. We won't see that much. We might see a little bit more Adagio with the Arden changes. I believe Catherine will be your go-to pick. I mean, we still need to test it out and see because Arden is very strong, but we will see how that works. I think Catherine and Arden, they might actually be balanced now.
Okay.
But Sky, I believe Sky may come out of all these hero changes. Her and Rhyme, I think, are going to come out on top.
Okay.
And I say Rhyme because he hasn't been touched, and nobody's really played him because he sort of came out right before, VGL.
Right.
And nobody really practiced him. Not many people saw him. But I'm telling you, Rhyme is incredibly strong.
Yeah, I think Fuji, did he run a game with him in the VGL in that last?
I'm not positive, but I did see some Rhymes in there.
Yeah. But yeah, you could be right because that fortified health is kind of tough to deal with.
It is, and he has a built-in slow. He has roots. He has a huge AoE ultimate.
And then I mentioned the fortified health, and this was another, I guess, balance change to all the heroes here. I'd recommend Broken Myth did a video where they kind of showed it off, or they didn't do a video, they did an article and kind of broke down all the numbers and if fortified health is better than our shield and armor that most heroes got. I think with the addition of Rhyme adding that fortified health, I think it was confusing to a lot of people, like what's fortified health and what's shield and armor and how do I deal with it? Because when you see a hero with a barrier or fortified health, you're like, I got to burst through that, and then I have to kill them.
Right.
I think their conclusion on their article was that fortified health is a nerf to everyone that had shield and armor, I guess, that they got from a lot of their abilities, but not like a huge enough to like hurt all of these a lot.
Yeah, I would agree there. You have to focus more on your items now because you're not given that free armor, given that free shield. You're given a little bit of extra health. And, I mean, it's a big change as far as in the game and how things are going because they're introducing fortified health with Rhyme, and then they're throwing it in on all of these heroes, Dajio, Scarf, Rona, Black Feather, Finn. And so you're going to see a lot more fortified health. So even if they do consider it a nerf, I don't think it's that big of a nerf. It's just more of we're changing the game this way.
Mm-hmm. Do you think we see an item that, I guess, attacks fortified health or even like gives you more fortified health down the line now that we have, we have armor and shield items, and now maybe we need a fortified health item?
Right. So when I first saw this, the first thing that came to my mind was they're opening the path for new items down into the future. And making these changes is sort of the first step of this is the way we want to go. And so now it opens up all these opportunities. So I think we will be seeing new items,
Mm-hmm.
not like crazy amount of new items, and not anytime soon because they do need balancing with the fortified health.
Sure.
But it's going to play out for the game in the long run.
Right, because yeah, if you could have an item that, like, I guess almost like an ignite or a mortal wounds kind of thing does, where it like gets rid of healing effects. Like if you could have an item that gets rid of fortified health or eats larger percent of fortified health, and it could be a good way to attack a team that maybe tried to build the fortified health or barrier comp that you see.
Right. It has me thinking now that percentage, if Aftershock takes that percentage damage and just completely ignores fortified health.
Oh, okay. Huh.
I have to look into that one.
Right. Interesting. That's all the balance changes on the heroes. We kept mentioning this breaking point change because I think this has the biggest effect on a lot of weapon carries. Yes. Breaking point, it was you were getting stacks based on your damage per second that you were doing. You were in a fight. That's basically how breaking point worked previously. Now you're going to have weapon power to do breaking point damage and build these stacks. So it stops champions like a Cruel or even a Black Feather from just being like, hey, Rona, hey, I got a breaking point and some health items, and I have 15 stacks now, and you can't kill me. Mm-hmm. So this is a huge change to breaking point, and probably something that needed to happen patches ago. Like I think yesterday I ran a Crystal Ringo and added a breaking point in there just because, like, I can.
Right. It's going to hurt my Arden in the late game picking up that breaking points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's where it affects a lot of people that were doing support with one damage item, which was usually your breaking point, sometimes maybe an Aftershock.
Right.
And this hurts, I think, Cruel quite a bit. I think this is the hero that maybe gets hurt by this the most right now.
I would say for your traditional Cruel players, it probably is going to really hurt. But I can't count how many times I heard Zekin on stream say, Breaking Point is actually not the most popular build. It was actually Sorrowblade.
Oh, okay.
And I played against Vaughn a few days ago in a ranked match, and they picked up a Cruel. And so I was paying attention to the build to see. And he actually started with Sorrowblade first.
Okay. I think you get like a huge burst if you can get your A off and then you auto attack, yes. Or you auto attack and then you use your A or something. I forget the combo there. So yeah, this breaking point change, I think we're gonna keep an eye on it. I think Super Evil's gonna keep an eye on it. I think we may see breaking point kind of fall out of the meta of 2 breaking points on a team, 3 breaking points, and
right.
It becomes this late game item. I think it would still be possibly good on the Ringos that were going breaking point, even breaking point Vox if you're going all weapon instead of crystal, because you're doing that massive damage. I see it being really good on Saw, actually.
On Saw?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because I can see where it would be good on Saw.
Yeah, because if you're gaining stacks every 125 weapon damage, and that's almost an auto attack on weapon Saw.
Yes. Be sure to get those Atlases.
Yeah, get Atlases. Watch out. And I think the build path is a little different too, so keep an eye on breaking point now. The other thing to talk about, the big change in this patch, I think, is the winter jungle changes, they're calling them. So we came off of the start of the season, and now we're getting a massive change to how the jungle works. We already had a little change to the minion miners and what they were doing to the lane minions, where they weren't getting gold and weren't naturally pushing. And now they went even farther in this patch with the jungle.
Yes.
This is a big change. I think a lot of high skill people were just calling for something in the jungle to change because it was kind of, I think, getting stiff. The minion miners were not important, and everything evolved around this gold miner for the first 15 minutes.
Yes.
So at the top, gold miner is now this neutral monster that you can capture anytime. It still fills up, and you get like a payout. But if you capture it, once you capture it, it goes back to work. Like it's not yours. It's not on your team. It's not a fourth member in the jungle. He's there doing his own thing, and someone can go capture it again or take his money again anytime they want. Just be like, all right, well, I think he's got like 50 gold. Let's grab him real quick, just so it doesn't stack up.
Right. I don't know about real quick because the gold miner does hit hard and he hits fast now.
Yeah, all jungle monsters hit even harder now too. So this, I think, is going to change how that jungle fight goes now. Like, we're still probably going to see a fight once it's starting to get full at like, I think everyone's going to start to pay attention to it at like 50% and beyond. Like, all right, who's going to go for it? Because the first team that goes for it, if you can get there in time, like you're saying, the jungle monster, or the gold miner's doing all this damage, like, hey, let them beat up on that team that tried to take them. We're coming in.
Right. I can see this working two ways. I can see it working as the gold miner is actually just going to get completely ignored until there's a solid ace from one team that can pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough. There are chances where you can sneak it. You know, if you know the enemy's on the backside jungle, maybe your team can sneak it. It is actually, it hits hard. It's stronger now. It's going to take a lot more time for it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be a lot more careful. Or you can see this used with, I mean, you can see teams dancing around the gold mine saying, hey, you hit it. No,
Right.
you hit it. And if you don't hit it and you have to go to your backs, we're going to take it. So it's going to be really interesting. As far as having it spawn at 1 gold, I guess, if you were to take it immediately, that's sort of, I don't know. We'll see how it works out because the gold miner is, I would say, he's still there, so he is an object on the map that is going to hit you.
Yeah.
He may not be worth it, but you do need to be careful around him. Make sure you're not the one to aggro it.
Right, yeah.
Make sure the other team is. We could see teams completely ignoring it because, it used to be a fourth member of a team of whoever had it. And so if you fought, you wanted to fight as far away, as close to the jungle shot, far away as you could.
Mm-hmm. This probably is pretty bad for Catherine, who maybe is nearby and someone hits her with her bubble up and it reflects some damage to the gold miner, and then this fight's on now.
Right.
And the fact that you can put a minion candy on this neutral monster now. Is it going to be like, hey, I put the minion candy, yeah, we just have to wait. Or the other team has a minion candy, let's just wait that minion candy out now.
I think so. I think it's going to be, well, you're going to have maybe play styles come in to where we want to farm, let's just minion candy it so they can't really get it.
Okay.
And then just go farm to where the other team's going to be like, hey, let's try to get this before they get minion candy on it and see it.
Sure, yeah. But you can also use that same minion candy now on your minion miner, too. I know there's a lot of times in the jungle where fights would just kind of break out maybe on the invade comp, and that minion miner just wasn't doing as much damage. So now you can pop that minion candy on your minion miner, and he's going to be doing more damage now, too. And it lasts longer, too.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the minion miner still kind of acts the same, where he's not pushing the wave, he's not giving gold, but he's stronger as well.
Right.
So yeah, and then like you said, the jungle camps are hitting harder, and I think we're gonna have to see these duo pairs in the jungle more. You're not gonna see as many Takas or Koshkas just running around the jungle by themselves, farming up. Like they're gonna need their jungle buddy there.
They are, because these jungle mobs, they are quite strong. I've seen top players die pretty quick in these beta matches and on the dev stream.
Because they're also faster too. Like I know Finn could even outrun some of the jungle camps, and just and while your carry just kind of hit them, and the jungle monster's trying to hit Finn. Like now they're gonna keep up and chase you harder. I think it's gonna be interesting. I think these jungle fights are gonna be dangerous now.
They are, and coming off your first rotation, you might not have that much health, and so it could both teams could be scared, or it could introduce new comps that have a lot of sustain in the jungle.
Your
We could see some new, right? There's your Adagio. You could see some new starting items on certain junglers to help deal with that. But all in all, I think it's going to make jungling, it's going to make it tougher. So I think we might actually see more of a jungle phase instead of this, let's clear it, invade, or gank instantly.
Okay.
Because you're going to be low on health, so you got to be very careful when you go to lane. You got to be very careful when you invade, and that keeping them in the jungle, with their low health and all. I don't want to say low, but with less health, it is going to sort of open up towards an actual laning phase. Which before, you could clear the wave real fast and head down. They're having all these wave clear changes, so you're not going to be able to clear as fast with these AOE heroes. So to me it seems like they're trying to develop the actual laning phase, which I think is awesome. And then doing this to the jungle is sort of emphasizing, maybe not emphasizing, but adding to that, but keeping jungle an actual jungle.
Right. Do you think we're going to see a different rotation from people? Because we're starting to see this hyper leveling kind of thing happening in the back, where our carry would start the healing buff, the support would start the other two, and then get out of there almost as early as they could, without the other person dying. Do you see this rotation now where maybe we go back to starting the front because we don't want to get invaded on, the front, by the jungle camp or the jungle store?
This is a very good point. We could see that, and when we do see that, we will see those level 1 fights come back into play. And even with those level 1 fights, the jungle mobs still hit hard, so it is going to be a little tougher to snowball the jungle.
Right. Because Vainglory is all about fighting. Although this phase of the jungle and the lane, we've all been now conditioned, it's just a game where we fight. Let's get in there and fight. I wanna kill people as much as possible. So maybe going back to that level 1 fight where you could start to get some more gold and take a little bit of their camp. You probably won't see as many let's kill them and then push into their jungle and stay in their jungle, because you're gonna be hurting if you're kind of staying in the jungle for too long.
Right, and it'll open up counter pushes in the jungle as well. So if you do lose early fights, I don't think you're going to be losing too much of your jungle for it, because they are stronger.
Yeah. You probably won't see, I know I've done this before, it's like Catherine or Arden, all right, I'll ditch you guys, they're in our side, I'm going to go to the other side and take a couple camps. I think the supports are going to have a hard time taking camps on their own now, too.
Yes, and so we may see, Stormguard contraption items coming in to help with that clear. So we could see that contraption coming back in very soon. I know a lot of people do use it.
Wow. This is just massive change, not just to the heroes, to the items, to the jungle. And then we have an entirely new, system in place with the ranked draft mode happening. If this patch wasn't confusing enough, you add in an entire new way to build a team comp when you go into ranked play. The draft mode, there's the video post on how it works, but it's going to roll out in a phase where you can do it in privates, and then only if you're in a party will you hit another party and you'll do a draft mode. I think this is a great way to do it. I think they could have just not even had it in ranked and just did privates, kind of like they did chat. I think the first time chat was introduced, you could only chat in party groups. You couldn't even chat outside that. So I think this will help people get accustomed to it and make sure the people that know how draft mode works are able to use draft mode. All the people doing scrims for VGL and VIPL, all right, we can actually do this now without having to type what's going to happen.
Right. I love draft mode. I think it's one of the two things that a competitive game needs to have. And they have it now. and it may be confusing to people at first because they're hey, let's go play ranks. But having this draft mode with tournaments like VGL, when you come in there, you're gonna have that sort of that feeling of okay, let's group ourselves, get these bans, these picks, let's counter pick, let's force our own team comp, let's out pick somebody else over there. And it's going to open up a lot of new strategies, a lot of new comps. You're going to see heroes emerging, and you're going to be like, what? Like Fortress? Who picked Fortress? And it'll actually end up working out.
Right. Yeah, that's why I almost feel like, yes, us saying like what the meta is going to be like with draft mode, that just affects the meta too. It's like you won't have as many mirror matches. I'm sure somebody will be on the top with all the bans, and we'll probably be able to see that once winter qualifiers 2 starts. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun team comps if you can work with your party and pick something fun and that can win you the game and counter people. I think the counter picks will be the biggest thing.
Counter picks. You're going to see a lot more posts on the forums and Reddit and things about who counters who, which jungle comps, which laners counter which laners. And I love this feature. I'm just really excited that it's finally here.
Yeah, because we don't like Vainglory Fire says like who's a threat, but I know League like starting playing League, I'd be like, all right, who's a counter pick to even though I was never like starting League. A counter pick doesn't work because you don't know what you're doing. But we don't have a hero or a Vainglory site with our heroes yet. Like who counters Kestrel? All right, I'll pick them. I think somebody may see that emerge, or at least streamers and YouTubers coming out with more stuff like, this is why I picked this, it counters this person, and we'll start to see more thought process there.
I believe there are timers, even maybe in private, so going into these tournaments before, teams had a lot of time to think about what they wanted to pick, what they wanted to choose, but now they're on a time limit.
Yeah, I think
they're going to have to speed that process up.
I think it's 15 or 20 seconds. Like it's not that long because you also don't want these matches to start to take 45 minutes from start to finish.
Right. And one thing I would like to say is about draft, there is going to be somebody who picks last. There's going to be that one person who picks last. And, if your players are playing lane, they're playing jungle, and you get stuck with support, so to say, stuck with it. I mean, everybody is random. Supports are awesome. I've actually been solo queuing, got halfway through POA Silver, in the last 4 games I played, I supported.
Okay.
And so supports, don't get bummed out about being last pick because everybody gets their time down there. It's going to be random. It's going to be equal across the boards in that aspect.
And you got Gabe Vizzle coming out with Glaive support now. You can have some fun with it. So.
And we're going to see a lot of Glaive supports.
Yeah. So there you go. And I know the ban, the captain, the first pick is also random. So sometimes you're going to be banning. Sometimes you'll be last pick. Like there's no rhyme or reason to why someone's the captain and why someone's the last pick. I think it's just like...
Right. And this is when it rolls out to everybody.
So get ready for that.
So have some player etiquette.
Yeah. You can go in the casuals and insta-lock whoever you want. I think that does it for this patch. Like it's massive. There's a few other like bug fixes and things like that. I'd recommend going to the Vainglory website and reading them yourself, because just us talking through them isn't even as strong as like just going over everything yourself and looking at the heroes you love and figuring it out. I know the last thing that I want to say, this Koshka skin.
Yes, I was about to say.
Can't leave here without mentioning that. I know on stream, I think it didn't look as fabulous as I think Playoff Beard mentioned. Like there's more effects in 1.14 that weren't in the PBE, weren't in that test server. So I think it's gonna look nice.
I love Koshka. She's my favorite hero, and I saw the skin. I thought the tier 3 Koshka skin was awesome. This one is amazing.
Yeah, I don't want to be later next year being like, I should have bought that skin.
Exactly. And they have the Rona skin coming out, and in game that Rona skin is so awesome.
Yeah, we may see Rona's, even though she may not be as strong. We'll see her just picked because of the skin.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll be picking her.
Awesome. I'm excited for this event. I'm going to be logging in, getting my red cards, double glory, crazy 8 cards, so much fun stuff. Excited for this update, and I'm sure there's another update within like 3 weeks too, so it doesn't stop.
Don't put the pressure on them.
Gibbs, thanks for joining me. This was fantastic. Love talking with you about the game and talking through all this stuff. Where can people find you again? Mobcrush, Twitch, or Twitter, all that good stuff before you.
Twitter. So my Mobcrush is where I live stream. It's mobcrush.com/Gibbs. My Twitter and YouTube are /StreamGibbs.
Okay. Yeah, definitely check that out. I'll include it in the show notes. Stop by and say hi when he's streaming. I know you were streaming before we recorded here, so you're on pretty regularly. And yeah, that'll do it for this episode, this rundown. And all of these are available at shatterthevein.com. So head over there, subscribe, and watch, listen, do whatever you want. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Shatter the Vein.